our friends, jokingly, at Outkick had the story and we're going to leak it. Let me tell you why I know I was fired. Because during the season, after some of the Kyron Lacey news broke, there were people on our network along with me that said something about it. Both of those people apologized, as did I. I didn't want to, right? I was told I couldn't come to work if I didn't. And at that point, I said, well, I can't come to work tomorrow because I don't believe I did anything wrong. Some conversations happened and we got to that point. And Outkick wrote an article about all the people that apologized, two very prominent faces at ESPN. And they praised them for who they were and how they brought this thing back around. And they bashed me, talked about how negative I was and spoke about me in such a nasty way. And I sent an email at that time to Burke Magnus and Dave Roberts, who were working, because we were on an email talking about how we were going to handle it. And I was very poignant in saying, you have to watch who you listen to about me. There's certain people who want to paint me as a certain thing, certain people who want to devalue my voice, certain people who, no matter what I do, with all the great I've done, they've never mentioned that. But in this case, there are three people who are very important to this network, who all did the same thing, who all responded in the same way. And only one of us was vilified. And only one of us was a black man. And so how poignant, how purposeful is it to make sure that that's the exact same publication that gets the story that I'm going to be fired? Because you know what they're going to do? They're going to praise ESPN. They're going to pump ESPN up for getting rid of the person who stands up for the community. And they're going to say that these are all the reasons why I didn't belong on TV in the first place. So let's garner as much positive publicity as we can early before all of these people that you've seen come out on my behalf and say I was the best in the world at the job and I deserved better. One, I didn't deserve to be laid off or fired. It ain't about money. Two, I didn't deserve to be handled that way. So let's get ahead of it. And they were going to get ahead of it by leaking it to someone who they know hated me. Let me put this to bed. I wasn't laid off. I was fired, right? They're using layoffs as a cover and a camouflage for what they already intended on doing.
So you're on live TV. Cameras are on you. Millions of people watching. In your earpiece, it ain't the producer telling you to rap. It ain't a countdown. It's your job. Gone. Mid-segment. Ryan Clark didn't finish that show. He got up and he walked. And this weekend, he finally said the part out loud. He said he wasn't laid off. I mean, honestly, what's the difference at this point? I mean, you looking for unemployment or something? Well, I don't understand the point of it, but he says he was fired. Two different words, two very different stories. He named the network. He named the narrative he thinks they were building on him or against him. And by the end of this, he was crying on his own podcast. I'm Jay Cal. This is the Clout Report. Let's get into it. So look, here's a timeline. Monday, Clark is sitting on the set of NFL Live. Andrew Marchand at The Athletic reports that during that broadcast, Clark gets told that he's out. He doesn't come back for the rest of the show. He becomes the first big name in a round of ESPN cuts. And he's not the only one. A longtime Major League Baseball insider, Carl Ravitch, NFL insider, Tom Pelissaro, and a bunch of other people you never see on camera who actually make these shows work also let go. ESPN's official reason, the NFL Network acquisition. President Jimmy Pitaro sends an internal memo about integrating the assets they bought and evaluating the organizational structure, which is corporate talk for, hey, we bought a second kitchen and we don't need two cooks. Now the money. Clark was reportedly north of $2 million a year on a deal he signed sometime in February of 20. ESPN still owes him the balance of that contract regardless. Okay. So he was also reportedly slated to be part of ESPN's Super Bowl coverage next year. The network's first time with the big game. So why tell him during a live show? Clark says his boss told him Outkick was about to run it first. So Friday, Clark goes on the Pivot podcast, his show with Shannon Crowder and Fred Taylor. And he doesn't do the gracious exit routine. His position, the layoffs were the cover story. He says there was no cause to fire him outright. So somebody waited for the round of cuts to fold him within basically everybody else. Camouflage. He also went back at TMZ report that said he wasn't forced off the set that night, that he and ESPN mutually agreed that he shouldn't come back. Clark replied on X that basically, I wasn't forced. I'm the one who asked if I should be done. Small thing, big thing. Because we agreed and I asked if I was allowed to stay aren't the same sentence. Then it got quiet. Fred asked him a simple question. Is there anything you do differently? And Clark starts to answer and he can't. He starts talking about running into people in public, aunties, people telling him they're proud of how he represents the community. And he says that if that's the case, he wouldn't change a thing. Shannon Crowder's eyes are watering. This is a grown man who played 12 years professional football on his own platform, breaking. Now, I think the fact that Ryan Clark says there's nothing he would change out of that, that's really telling. I mean, this interview didn't look good at all to me. I mean, I wish I hadn't watched it, honestly. He comes off sounding really entitled. He is not humble at all. He's not thankful at all. You know, did he deserve to be fired while at work? I'm sure they could have done a better job than that. I mean, that's an easy one, right? But for him to say, I don't deserve to be fired. Well, a lot of people got fired that didn't deserve to be. I mean, what about everybody else? Did they then deserve to be? I don't think any of those people necessarily deserve to be. One guy had been there 30 years. I'm sure he could say the same, you know. At one point in the interview, Clark says that he couldn't act too black. You know, what's acting black anyway? What is that? Did he what's too black? Well, what's black before we can get to too black? I mean, did he have a dashiki and a medallion? Did he have like a big natural that he would walk around the office and he hurry up and clean up before he got on air? I mean, what in the world is happening? Why would he say that he can't act too black? What the hell does that have to do with anything? How black you act? Does that mean how black you are? Are you as black? Are we as black as we act? I mean, does that define us? I mean, this whole thing is confusing, and it seems like he's just like out of touch. He takes no accountability for remotely why this could have happened. Maybe it's not in his control at all. I mean, that's a possibility too. But if it wasn't in his control, that went clear over his head. That is not a possibility in the world as he sees it. He had no way to control this, which I think that's extremely telling. Somebody did him wrong, and then saying, well, if my enemies found out that I was going to be fired, they would say that I shouldn't have been on TV in the first place. Hello, a lot of people say that. Newsflash, a lot of people say that. In his mind, he's the greatest of all time. I don't see that. I think he's entertaining. I think he's good. I will watch him. Greatest of all time. Ryan Clark, you need to stop it. Sit down. Stop doing this. You don't look like you are with it. You don't look like you are in touch. with reality when you say things like that. And you clearly don't have no friends because they letting you say it, and nobody say, hey man, don't say that kind of stuff around cameras. Like, man, you sound crazy as hell. Don't say you the greatest, man. Just do your job, man. Can you do that? And another thing, it's like, why you gotta crash out when everybody's getting fired and you just can't be a part of that and be quiet and say, hey y'all, thank you for having me. You know, it was great working with y'all. That's too much to ask. Now, I'm not saying you're not right. I'm not saying any of that, but it just doesn't sound good. Not at all. And just for the record, these companies fire people for all kind of different reasons. And a lot of them, which I don't think is for Ryan Clark, because he's coming forward with all this information and nobody knew. A lot of it's just budget. But with Ryan Clark, I don't think he was a good fit around there. According to him, you know, he had all these relationships that went bad and he didn't know how to fix other than say, hey, well, everybody loved me. Well, clearly everybody didn't. Everybody did not. According to how they fired you, they did not love you. People don't love you and fire you like that. But I digress. But this whole Peter Schrager thing, you know, I think that was a tipping point. I think that was a point when they realized that he's out of control. I think that was a point where maybe though his colleagues, his contemporaries felt like, hey, we don't like him, because I don't think you can talk to people like how he talks to this guy on air and still have a good working relationship. I just don't. So the theory that everybody's running with, Andrew Marchand reported that an incident last season was where ESPN executives' frustration with Clark peaked. Take you back to Get Up, first week of the 2025 season. CeeDee Lamb dropped a big pass and the Dallas lost. Peter Schrager defends CeeDee Lamb. Clark disagrees and hits him with the that's the non-player in you. Schrager tells him, don't belittle me for having an opinion. Sports media picks a side, and it's not with Clark. A week later, they're fist bumping and there's fist bumping on NFL Live publicly. Looks like they patched things up. Clark's version of the break, he was heated and he walked off and said Schrager was over there celebrating the segment because it was going to travel. I guess they thought that would go viral because they were fighting on air. It was believed to be good content. And here's the part that I need y'all to be mindful of. Clark says colleagues and producers were worried he was about to get aggressive. His words on the podcast. He felt they were painting a trope on him that everybody knew wasn't true. Never had an altercation there. Never did anything. But he felt the narrative getting built in real time. Whether or not that's why he's gone, that's a man telling you he could feel the file being written. He says flatly, that's not why I got fired. Okay, well, what does that mean? What does he do? And that is my question. That is my question. He knew that they were building something against him. What did he do to rectify that situation? Did he do anything other than say, hey, don't listen to people saying negative things about me? Look, that don't work. That don't work. They're going to listen. If people think you're going to get aggressive, they're going to treat you a certain way, unfortunately. So, you know, maybe you can't get excited or passionate or be too passionate. For a lot of men, that is our reality. We can't be passionate. We can't be overly excited about anything in America. That's just the way it is now. You have to be calm, cool, and collected all the time, especially if you're black. But I think it whatever color you are, you know, you run the risk of scaring somebody. Especially if you're a big guy. I mean, maybe if you're a little guy, you can get away with that. I mean, maybe. Maybe if you're small enough, hey man, little dude over there is tripping. Maybe. But if you're a big guy, ex-football player, maybe people are afraid. That's a possibility. That seems valid. So once the news broke of Ryan Clark's firing, apparently people began to pick sides. And one person in particular was Nick Bosa, who broke his social media silence, not for signing, not for camp, but to celebrate publicly. He saw the news and logged in. Supposedly, Travis Kelce went the other way and quietly showed support without saying a word about it. You know, that's the scoreboard on being an analyst who criticizes players for a living. Some of them were waiting and some of them were rooting for you the whole time. You don't find out which is which until the worst day. Two things can be true, and both of them appear to be. One is that the merger math is real. ESPN bought NFL Network. Redundancy is a spreadsheet, and spreadsheets don't have feelings about your career. Second thing is that when the music stops and somebody has to pick which chairs disappear, typically the expensive guys with opinions that travel past the sideline is always on the short list every time. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how it works. What I can't defend is the delivery. You had a Friday, you had a phone, you had a hallway. You chose the live set, and ESPN has said very little publicly since. But, here's the part that should scare anybody with a job. Clark wasn't underperforming. He wasn't in a scandal. He was fine, and fine is not protected. Fine has never been protected. Loyalty flows one direction in these buildings, always has. Hit subscribe. Tell me in the comments, fired or laid off. I'm J. Cal. Thanks.